Alright guys, this video lesson is going to go over multiplying and dividing rational numbers. Please make sure you have the PowerPoint open that looks just like my screen. It's called Notes and Practice, Multiply and Divide Rational Numbers. Split screen the video and this PowerPoint. Alright, taking a look at our first one, we have negative 9/10 times negative 3. So remember, parentheses also give us the operation multiplication. So for this problem, it would be easiest to make both of these a fraction. You could change 9/10 into a decimal if you prefer, but I'm going to show us converting negative 3 into a fraction. So that would be negative 3 over 1. Then from here, we have negative 9 over 10 times negative 3 over 1. I could have put that negative with the 10 and the 1. Either way, it will still give us our same answer. So from here, we're going to multiply numerator and numerator. So negative 9 times negative 3 is a positive 27. And then you want to multiply denominator times denominator. So 10 times 1 is 10. Now your final answer should not be left as an improper fraction or not in simplest form. So for this problem, we need to change our improper fraction into a mixed number. So that is where we do 27 divided by 10. Well, 10 can't go into 2, so I'll put a 0. 10 goes into 27 2 whole times. So that would be 20 with a remainder of 7. Now, normally we could change this into a decimal. Absolutely, add a decimal, add a 0. But in this case, since I was multiplying fractions, I'm going to keep them as fractions in my final answer. So that 7 is my numerator. Your denominator stays the same. So my final answer here should be 2 7/10. For our next problem, we have two fractions. So negative 1/2 times 3/4. So same thing, same process. We need to multiply our two numerators. Negative 1 times positive 3 is negative 3. And then multiply our two denominators. So 2 times 4 is 8. Negative 3/8 is in simplest form. So that would be our final answer here. So remember, it does not matter if you work in fractions or in decimals. Both of them just need to be the same. So for this next one, I'm going to continue to work with fractions. So this would be 3 1/2 still. We're multiplying. And negative 6 and 6.25. Well, 0.25 is the same as saying 1/4. So this would be negative 6 1/4 in fraction form. From here, we need to cartwheel or change both mixed numbers into improper fractions. You have to have improper fractions before you can multiply. So 2 times 3 would be 6, plus 1 is 7. So this becomes 7 over 2. Bring down my multiplication sign. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 would be 25. I'm going to keep my negative sign, so that would be negative 25 over 4. From here, we follow the same rules we did on the previous slide. I'm going to multiply my numerators, so 7 times negative 25, well, that would be a negative 175. And then multiply your denominators. 2 times 4 is 8. From here, you do not leave it as an improper fraction for your final answer. So we need to figure out how many times 8 can go into 175. Well, 8 goes into 1 0 times. 8 goes into 17 2 times. Bring down our 5. 8 goes into 15 1 time. And we have a remainder. So again, I was working in fractions, so I'm going to leave my answer in fraction form. So for this problem, it went in 21 whole times with 7 remaining. and our denominator stays the same. Do not forget, you have to include that negative sign in our final answer, which would be negative 21 and 7/8. All right, next one I'm going to work with decimals. Negative 2.6 is already in decimal form, so we only need to change negative 5 and 1/5 into a decimal. 1 divided by 5 would give me 0.2. So this would be negative 2.6 times negative 5.2. I'm going to forget about my negatives for now because a negative times a negative, I'm going to have a positive answer. I'm going to do 2.6 times 5.2. Well, 2 times 6 is 12. So I'll put a 2, carry a 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Put my 0. 5 times 6 is 30. Put a 0, carry a 3. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Add our products. Then worry about our decimals. So in our first number, we had 1 number after our decimal point. In our second number, we had 1 number after our decimal point. 1 plus 1 tells me I'll have 2 numbers after my decimal point in my final answer, which would be 13 and 52 hundredths. And again, that's a positive because a negative times a negative gives me a positive answer. All right, guys, the next ones are division problems. So 22 divided by 2/3. Again, you either need to work with fractions or decimals. So for number 5, I'm going to work with fractions. We make 22 into a fraction, so 22 over 1. Some of you may know the keep, change, flip rule. If you know it and get the same answer as me, that's absolutely okay. The way we teach it is by getting common denominators. So 22 over 1 and 2 over 3 have a common denominator of 3. So 22 over 1 needs to change into something over 3. Well, we can see from 1 to 3, we just multiply by 3. Whatever you do on the bottom, you should do on the top as well. So this becomes 66 over 3 divided by 2 over 3. So see, now they have common denominators, and we can take our 2 numerators, so 66 and 2, and turn them into our answer. So 66 goes on top, it's our first numerator, and then 2 goes on the bottom. And when you simplify that, 66 over 2 simplifies to the whole number 33. So again, if you keep, change, flip, and you got the answer 33, that is absolutely okay. Problem number 6, I'm going to do 24 over 1 and work with fractions again. So 24 over 1 needs to become something over 9 to get our common denominator. Well, times 9 times 9. 24 times 9 is 216. So my new division problem would be 216 over 9 divided by negative 8 over 9. Take your 2 numerators, 216 and negative 8, so 216 over negative 8. When you do this, that should simplify. We have a positive divided by a negative, so my answer would be a negative 27. And again, I just did my division to find that answer. All right, number 7, we have 2 3/4 divided by negative 0.25. I'm going to work with fractions. Again, you could change 2 3/4 into 2.75 and work with decimals, that's fine. But I know negative 0.25 is the same as saying negative 1/4. So 2 3/4 divided by negative 1/4 is the same. Now I have to change my mixed number into an improper fraction. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. keep your denominator. So 11 over 4 divided by -1 over 4. Once you have two fractions and they have common denominators, take your two numerators, 11 over -1. Well, 11 divided by -1 is just -11, which would be your final answer. All right, number 8, I'm going to work with decimals. So we have -0.2412 and divided by 2/5. Well, 2 divided by 5, if you did that division, would give you 0.4 or just 0.4. So I'm going to work with decimal divided by decimal. For right now, I'm going to forget about the negative. I know a negative divided by a positive is going to give me a negative answer. So I just have to remember that when I'm going to write my final answer. But for the purpose of dividing, I'm going to forget about it for a moment. So 0.2412 goes inside your house. 0.4 goes outside. Now remember, when you're dividing decimals, you do not want a decimal on the outside. So you got to scoot that decimal. However many times you scoot it on the outside, you also have to scoot it on the inside. So my new problem after I scoot that decimal would be 2.412, and on the outside is just a 4. So now we can just normally divide. 4 goes into 2, 0 times. 4 goes into 24, 6 times perfectly. Subtract, bring down your 1. 4 goes into 1, 0 times. 4 goes into 12, 3 times. I'm left with 0. I have nothing else to bring down. Final step is to bring that decimal straight up through the roof. So 0.603, and our negative is already there waiting for us in our final answer. The next two slides are practice. Please make sure you are completing these practice independently and then check the answer key in the agenda. So yes, please go ahead and do these practice activities by yourself and then check the key. Good luck.